Now, let's rewind to March 2003, when the FBI allegedly arrested 44-year-old Andrew Carlson, the time-traveling billionaire. In March 2003, Yahoo News published a story about how this guy turned an $800 investment into $350 million within 2 weeks. Talk about manifesting money fast. So, as the story goes, the FBI was alerted that some random guy turned $800 into $350 million in the stock market, and they suspected criminal activity. So, when they questioned him, the FBI brought him in. He said he was a time traveler from 250 years in the future, and that explained why he was so successful in the stock market. So what happened next? The FBI was convinced he was lying, but their investigation was halted when they found no identity records for Andrew Carlson before December 2002. April 3rd, he had his bail hearing, and he vanished without a trace. Was he truly a time traveler, or was it an elaborate hoax? Is time travel even possible, or is this science fiction? Well, while this story was originally published by Weekly World News and picked up by Yahoo and many others, I can't find any verifiable information that someone named Andrew Carlson ever existed. But how about a real story about the U.S. military's time travel experiment called the Philadelphia Experiment? October 28, 1943, the U.S. Navy supposedly mastered time travel, teleportation, and invisibility. Or did they? Actually, the experiment was apocalyptic. In the summer of 1943, during World War II, American ships were getting destroyed by German U-boats and mines, so the U.S. Navy needed a solution. So what did they do? Bigger bombs? Better missiles? Faster boats? Nope. Instead, on October 28th, the U.S. destroyer ship, called the Eldridge, was docked at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard for a top-secret mission. The goal? To make the ship invisible to enemy radar using large generators to create a magnetic field. Now, when the generators were activated, witnesses saw a green fog go over the ship and then it completely disappeared. Or, as my daughter would like to say, "Daddy, I'm invisible." Sometimes she says invincible. I'm invincible! But it gets even weirder. Moments later, the Navy ship reappeared in Norfolk, Virginia, 250 miles away, and 10 minutes earlier in time, then it reappeared again in Philadelphia. The situation was a pretty frightening doomsday scenario. Some of the people on the ship were killed, some disappeared entirely, some even fused to the ship's metal, and the rest of them went insane. The story spread all across American news. It was mass paranoia and hysteria during a time of war. Now, was that a real time travel story? Well, the U.S. government said that the Eldridge ship did exist, and the government says the experiment's intentions were actually to make the ships invisible only to underwater mines and enemy submarines, but it clearly did not go as planned. Now, you might be wondering, why am I talking about this? Well, I'm going to show you some amazing science in a minute that's going to show you how to time travel into the future, into an alternate reality where you can get everything that you want. But if you haven't yet, get my free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. It's my free success hypnosis to reprogram your subconscious mind, which is going to make it easier for you to create your own future. But now, how about some irrefutable, 100% verifiable time travel research? In December 1992, Russian scientists in the remote Arctic village were building a mysterious device. It was a large aluminum tube with a chair inside that shielded the people within it from the outside electromagnetic interference, which amplified their biological energy. Now, immediately, strange things happened. disc-shaped lights, balls of energy, very, very bright northern lights. Now, the first subject sat in this chair, and then he got this big flash of energy, and the device allowed him to view any point in time, past and future. And these experiments confirmed theories from the 1950s that time, as we know it, doesn't exist in a linear fashion. Now, the scientists left this dude in the chair. He started getting all dizzy, a whole bunch of nausea, and he was getting all anxious. And then he got really calm, and his surroundings changed. And he was able to go back into his childhood 30 years ago. Now, this and a lot of other experiences, they were actually all documented. The scientists Dr. Trove and Dr. Kazench believed they were tapping into a theory proposed by physicist Nikolai Kozrets, who proposed that time could be manipulated and concentrated using mirrors, leading him to believe that you could bend time. These ideas were actually taken very seriously by the Soviet government and the CIA, which led to a lot of black budget top secret projects which have now been declassified. And during this 1990 experiment, the mirror device was reportedly able to help people have supernatural experiences, including visions of the past and future, and encountering mysterious observers. Now, these observers were like bright humanoid figures, and they actually communicated with the participants when they were inside of this device. And as you can imagine, it totally freaked them out. And, now that some of you guys know some real stories, let's dive into the science behind time travel. Because if time travel is possible, you can actually use it to access your dream future and bend time to your own benefit. So let's look at 5 little scenarios from Hollywood movies, first of all. So we just have some visuals that we can relate to. Now, the first is one-way travel into the future. You can travel to the future, but you can't return. It's like the movie Interstellar, where he finds that many, many years have passed for his loved ones, but he only aged a little bit. Number 2 is instantaneous time jumping, a time machine that basically allows a person to jump from one point in time to another instantaneously, like in the movie Back to the Future or The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Number 3 is time standing still. The time traveler remains stationary, and then time's moving all around you. It's like the concept in the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, where they are spinning time, basically. Number 4, slow time travel. The traveler moves through time slowly, as shown in the movie Primer, where every minute spent in the time machine moves the traveler back 1 minute in time. Then number 5 is the speed of light travel, which would probably be the most fun because it's the fastest. So you're traveling at the speed of light, like in the original movie Superman. But these are just Hollywood movies, right? Are any of these scientifically possible today or in the future? Well, believe it or not, Albert Einstein's theory of relativity lays the groundwork for time travel. If Albert Einstein was alive today, sounds like he might be smoking DMT with Joe Rogan. Trippy guy, right? For example, imagine Elon Musk builds a rocket and it can travel pretty much at the speed of light, right? Like 270 million meters per second. So let's say Elon has twins, and he does an experiment, and he decides to put one of the twins in this rocket, and he sends them zooming out through space at the speed of light. The rocket travels straight out into space for 5 years, and then it comes back to Earth. And it's traveling the whole time at near the speed of light. Now, when the rocket lands, a 10-year-old boy steps out. But here's the crazy part. His twin, who stayed on Earth, is already 23 years old. How can that be? This happens because of something called time dilation. That's a concept from Einstein's special theory of relativity. basically, when you travel at speeds close to the speed of light, time slows down for you compared to someone who stays put. So for the twin that's on this rocket, that time felt normal, right? But it didn't compared to his twin on Earth. Then you go into more science, quantum physics, the wave-particle duality, the many worlds theory to kind of explain time travel. So many worlds theory, you may have heard it as like the multiverse. Basically, that our universe is one of many universes that exist simultaneously. And basically, it says that all possible outcomes of quantum measurements are realized or materialized in some other world or universe. It's all happening. So in a quantum event, when it occurs, there's multiple possible outcomes, and the universe splits into a set of parallel universes that each represent a different outcome. So if you make this practical for your own life, this would mean that you have an infinite number of futures, like future where you're rich and you're happy and you're healthy and you attracted your soulmate. It all already exists according to the multiverse theory, which again is why success hypnosis is so important, because the only thing that stops us from getting there is our subconscious mind. So I have a free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com. You can click in the description, or it's pinned to the comments right there down below. Really, because the key, if this is real, which we know scientists have told us there's like 11 dimensions, there may be infinite, but if you can train your subconscious to live in a future that doesn't exist to your five senses, that's how you shift timelines. So don't get it yet, because what I'm about to say is very important, but make sure that you bookmark my free success hypnosis. It's right there down below. Now, from there, we move into parallel universes. According to the many worlds theory, every decision, every thought you have, it's creating a new universe. Like, for example, if you decide to go left or right, the universe exists, multiple of them, one where you have a different outcome if you went right versus left. And these are all different possible worlds created by quantum events. Each reality represents a different sequence of events and outcomes based off different choices, different thoughts, different emotions, which leads us into the observer effect, number 3. In quantum physics, the act of observing a particle influences its state. So before observation, particles exist in superposition, representing all different possible states they could be in. And then the observation causes the energy to collapse into a single particle localized in space and time for a real event. Now, this is crazy because it could lead you into essentially being the director of your own movie, where your act of observing where your mind is focusing, that's like the steering wheel that's directing you through infinite universes, that essentially you are time traveling based off of your own consciousness. Because everything is made up of energy. These energies are called waves. They can be particles or invisible waves in superposition. And this opens the door of possibility of infinite parallel realities in wave form or energy form outside of this dimension of visible light in superposition. So what is superposition? Superposition, according to quantum physics, describes this weirdness that particles can be two things. They can be invisible or not existing in wave state, or they can be physical localized particles. So the money you want can be in your bank account, or you can be broke with new overdraft fees, with both realities happening at the same time, just waiting for you to choose based off of your own perception. And this opens the door that time doesn't exist. And all past events and all future potential realities, they all already exist in superposition. You're not creating anything, it already exists. You're just choosing what road you travel on. You're timeline shifting or timeline hopping into a new reality that already exists outside of the spectrum of visible light that you can see, because particles can exist in multiple states. And your act of observation is what creates it. So what is observation? It's the same thing as perception. It's where your mind is focused, Are you focused on your desires being here now, or are you pushing them out in the future? Because by pushing them out into the future, you may be time traveling into a future that you don't want. For example, when I was 19, 20 years old, I dropped out of college, backpacked around the world, decided I was going to be a big author, make a bunch of money doing what I loved. Well, it wasn't working. I noticed every time the publishers rejected me, I accepted the outside environment as fact, and it controlled my thinking. Like, I can't get published. This is hard. That means my observation is collapsing energy from a superposition into the absence of what I want, because I am getting controlled by my five senses. So I'm saying, I'm not successful. I am not successful. I'm creating that. And that's why success hypnosis became so important to me. I started literally brainwashing myself for my future before it happened. Joe Dispenza says, can you give thanks for a future that hasn't happened yet? Once you're in that state, that's how you create it. So here's an easy practice. For the next 21 days, suspend your disbelief and practice actually entering your future in your imagination, feeling the emotions. Your brain thinks it's real, and that's how you step into the new timeline. So my question to you, do you think time travel exists? If so, let me know in the comments down below. Does this make sense? Does it not make sense? What I invite you to do, more than just go back to your mind and say, is this real? Is this not real? No, right? Because we've been conditioned that way to think we're physical beings in a linear timeline. Suspend your disbelief. What is a future you want to manifest? What I invite you to consider is it's already real, and if you can start to hold that in your physiology, in your nervous system, and in your consciousness, giving thanks for a future that hasn't happened yet, what you're going to find is you might end up traveling into the future and bringing it back into the present. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe, bell notification. You can click here to watch another video, and make sure you get my free success hypnosis right there down below.